What kind of madness happened in the Barcelona match? Manchester City continues its shameful decline. Crisis-ridden Tottenham inflicted a defeat on their own field. Such a shameful defeat hasn't happened in 20 years. Manchester United's first top transfer under Ruben Amorim. Urgent news from Madrid. Real has chosen a new coach to replace Ancelotti. And Andre Lunin is moving to Inter Milan. Today we're discussing this and more. Friends, this is a dose of football and a hot selection of the most interesting news at this hour. Charge your royal likes so we can work without weekends. And check out our second channel for a new video. It was released literally 2 hours ago. And be sure to subscribe to it. Videos will be regularly released there. Well, I wish you a pleasant appetite and a pleasant viewing. Real Madrid needs new midfielders. It's a fact. Toni Kroos has left the team. Eder Militao has lost his form, and Luka Modric is simply getting old. He is no longer a key player for the team and rarely comes on as a substitute. To top it all off, the Croatian's contract expires next summer, and it's unlikely to be renewed. He was supposed to leave the team before the start of the season, but the end of Kroos's career changed the club management's plans. Now there's almost no chance that he will be offered a new agreement. Real must sign a replacement for the Croatian player, preferably one who would immediately fit into the main team. Scouts are targeting Nicola Barella, according to the source. The Italian has been a key player for Inter for 3 seasons now. He had no problems adapting in Milan, and he practically became an indispensable player right away. But every year he is called to other teams. Last summer, for example, he could have ended up at West Bromwich Albion, Manchester City, and Liverpool wanted to see him. But the management had no plans to sell their leader, and they extended his contract that same summer. I don't know what could make the team's manager reconsider and agree to sell Barella. Real is only planning to offer 60 million euros for him, whereas his market price is at least 20 million higher. I think Inter's management won't even listen to such a pitiful offer, unless the club's financial situation gets even worse, and they have to sell their leaders to improve the cash balance. Ah yes, Madrid can also play cunning games, setting Barella against Inter. But I don't really believe in such a scenario. Nevertheless, a transfer between the clubs may still occur next summer. But it will be a transfer not from Inter to Real Madrid, but the other way around. Nerazzurri needs a goalkeeper as Jan Zomer will soon turn 36. Sooner or later, his form will start to decline. Inter needs a young goalkeeper who will replace the Swiss in the goal frame. The squad has someone available for transfer. His name is Andre Lunin, and he is unlikely to be satisfied with the prospect of being forever second under Thibaut Courtois. Moreover, Real does not require a lot of money for the Ukrainian. If Inter can scrape together about 30 million, then the Madrid club will sell their reserve goalkeeper. This will be a good deal for all parties. Real Madrid will get the money, Andre Lunin will get practice, and Inter Milan will get a young and top goalkeeper who has already managed to show what he is capable of. But it should be noted that Lunin is not the only one Inter is after. There are enough contenders on the shortlist of Milanese for the position of Jan Zomer's successor, and it's far from certain that they will ultimately focus on the transfer of the Ukrainian. Closer to summer, the situation will become clearer. Manchester United really wants to buy a talented forward in the near future. The club is weary of the absence of top-notch center forwards. Yes, Rasmus Højlund had a strong short stint last season, but he vanished in the new campaign. He stopped starting games. Joshua Zirkzee's situation is a story in itself. Almost all European giants wanted to sign him. Eventually, he moved to Old Trafford, but only to warm the bench, and that's not what footballers are for. The Red Devils paid more than 100 million euros for them. So far this season, they've scored 3 goals between them. For that kind of money, you could have bought a top forward with impressive results, although it's not a fact that he would have been able to fit into Erik ten Hag's team. As for what changes we can expect under the leadership of Ruben Amorim, it's still unknown. These players clearly have psychological problems, and perhaps the Portuguese genius will find a way to them, restoring the footballers' lost confidence. But who knows what will happen. However, the newspapers continue to churn out news that MU is planning to enter the transfer market for a new forward. This time, we'll talk about Victor Osimhen, as it became known what offer the Red Devils are preparing for the unshakable Aurelio De Laurentiis. However, I must point out that United's approach is unlikely to shed light on the matter. So, the publication Todo Fichajes reports that MU is planning to offer Napoli 30 million euros and Joshua Zirkzee. However, the Azure president stated he's not interested in exchanges with a surcharge. He needs the full value of Osimhen, either 81 million in January or 75 already in the summer. All other offers from Manchester United can shove you deeper. What exactly did the Devils expect from the disappointed summer transfer window of Napoli's president? He almost agreed on the sale of Osimhen to Chelsea. If it weren't for the player's whims, Laurentiis would already be sitting with a 9-figure sum in his pocket. That's why he doesn't even want to hear about any exchanges with additional payment. He only needs the money. And the president of Napoli can be understood. Liverpool still needs a destroyer in the center of the field. Ryan Gravenberch controls the pace of the game well, acting as the team's conductor. But the Dutchman is not yet able to cope with the volume of work without the ball on his own. He needs an assistant who will cover him when Gravenberch moves forward. Liverpool scouts are considering 2 footballers for this role. Relena Tchouameni from Real Madrid and Martin Zubimendi from Real Sociedad. The Frenchman will be happily sold in the winter window, as Madrid needs money to address other problematic positions. But his price is biting. The owners want to get around 100 million euros for their footballer. Martin Zubimendi's transfer will be cheaper. His contract still stipulates a clause of 60 million. Yet, both players possess a similar set of qualities, except that Tchouameni is physically stronger than the Spaniard, but not enough to pay 40 million more for him. At the same time, there could also be problems with Zubimendi's transfer. Many English clubs are interested in him. Liverpool, Manchester City, and Arsenal are interested in the Spaniard. As known, City needs to find a versatile pivot who can replace the injured Rodri. Zubimendi uniquely fits this role. The world's best player recommended the management to consider Real Sociedad's defensive midfielder. And any player who fits Manchester City will also fit Arsenal. After all, the team is led by Pep Guardiola's student, Mikel Arteta. But the Gunners have already bought one player from Real Sociedad this summer. And he can't impress yet. Mikel Merino has only played 5 Premier League matches this season, and there's no feeling yet that he can secure a place in the team's core. In general, I personally don't see any reason for Martin Zubimendi to move to Emirates. The prospects there are too murky, and the team is going through not the best of times. If I had to choose, it would be between Liverpool and Manchester City. In these clubs, there will not only be the opportunity to compete for trophies, but also to bring my playing qualities to a new level. Vincent Kompany is slowly starting to adapt to working in a new team. Despite the recent defeats in the Champions League from Aston Villa and Barcelona, Bavaria is gradually regaining its status as the hegemon of the Bundesliga. At the moment, the company's team is in first place, leading the nearest follower by 8 points. The dynamics suggest the gap will keep growing with each round. So, at the end of the season, there will be a sensation, and Harry will finally lift the trophy above his head. The Englishman deserved it, unexpectedly showing class from the first matches. If it weren't for his superhuman efforts, we might not have seen Bavaria in this Champions League draw. Tuchel's last season can only be deemed a failure, but the choice of his successor was also a surprise. Bavaria was previously coached by truly great masters who achieved considerable success with other teams. What did Kompany achieve? He brought Burnley into the Premier League, but they got relegated the next season, right? His appointment seemed like madness, but he started to justify the faith shown in him by the Bayern management. And do you know who recommended this coach to the Munich team? Former team coach Pep Guardiola. Uli Hoeneß, president of Bavaria, revealed this on social media. This is like day and night compared to what it was before. He is very communicative and really cares about his players. But we didn't know this in advance, so we called Pep Guardiola for advice. He just said we could take him blindfolded, he'll manage. In fact, nothing prevents us from having successful years with him in Bavaria, said Uli Hoeneß. The president of Bavaria stated that Thomas Tuchel had almost no communication with the team's dressing room. The coach just did his job, leading the training process and choosing the starting lineup for the matches. But the situation drastically changed in the company. That's good. It means that there is mutual understanding between the coach and the footballers. And this is an important component for the team's long-term success. I also want to add that Guardiola's legacy in football is simply amazing. Not only did he lead legendary teams, but during this time, he also managed to nurture several top coaches who are now dazzling all of Europe. Real Madrid is looking for a replacement for Vinicius Jr. or for Kylian Mbappe. In Madrid, there's a feeling that one of these two attack leaders will have to be sold in order for the team to regain its championship stride. But Florentino Perez is not ready to just let go of a footballer he has been chasing for the last 5 years, even if he is offered excellent compensation. Therefore, as predicted, the team may leave Vinicius Jr. His transfer might be allowed by clubs from Saudi Arabia. And according to the latest information, Real will demand 500 million euros for their winger. And no European team can offer such money. It will be a pity if Vinicius leaves top football at his peak and goes to play in the Middle East. Perez's ambition is the root cause. Without Mbappe's transfer, Real Madrid might have continued their top-level performance this season. But the mistake has been made, and now the management needs to deal with its consequences. If the Madridistas still sell Vinicius for the asking price, then they plan to update the team in the next summer window. Slovacny plans to sign Victor Decaresh, a main sensation of recent seasons, to replace the departed Brazilian. According to the source, Real is prepared to offer Euro 100 million for him, despite the 60 million release clause. That is, Madrid, just like Manchester United, wants to solely lead the race for the Swedish super bomber. But that's where the problem lies. Real Madrid is prepared to offer an exorbitant sum for the star attacker. The same Red Devils want to check the transfer on the same scheme. And this means that each time the offer will have to be increased to beat the offers of another contender. The sporting management is already rubbing their hands in anticipation of the summer window, which promises the club a huge profit. Still, it's intriguing to know the footballer's own preference on where he wants to go. Logically, Decore should choose his former mentor, under whose guidance he reached such a cosmic level. But there's a problem in Manchester. The team is not showing stable play. And who knows when they will be fighting for major trophies. Transferring to Real Madrid ensures you will win the Champions League within the next few years. Such is this team. Regardless of anything, it always knows how to secure a victory in the most prestigious tournament in Europe. Xabi Alonso is almost certainly spending the season at Bayer Leverkusen, despite active interest from Real Madrid. Judging by everything, the Spaniard himself is not intending to leave the team in the middle of the season. However, the situation with Carlo Ancelotti remains uncertain. The management will evaluate the work of the Italian coach based on the results of the upcoming matches. If they are unsatisfactory, the board will have to make a tough decision about terminating the contract prematurely. But if Xabi Alonso stays at Bayer, then who will replace Ancelotti at the helm of the Royal Club? According to Relevo Portal data, the management made a highly ambiguous decision. It is planning to appoint Santiago Solari. The source notes that the Madrid club warned the Argentine coach to be ready to take over the team. Solari has been doing well. In recent years, the Argentine has been working in the structure of the club, holding an administrative position. However, he also has coaching experience. He successfully led Real's second team in his time. After Julian's failed appointment at Lopetegui, he got a chance to work with the main team. By the way, the Argentine initially did well with his task. He won in the Madrid derby and also drew with Barcelona. But his spring cut was marred by a series of failures. Real lost twice to the Catalans in the Championship and the Spanish Cup, and then suffered a painful defeat from Ajax, with a score of 4-1, which meant being knocked out of the Champions League. After which Solari was given administrative duties, and Zinedine Zidane became the team's head coach. The situation repeats itself again. Solari is offered the role of a backup in case they have to part ways with the current head coach. But he has spent too many years in the system and is ready to handle any team, regardless of the responsibility placed on him. He has discussed the upcoming plans with management, and Madrid decided they couldn't find a better candidate. It's also worth noting that due to his long stay at Real, Solari has developed good relationships with many of the team's players. For this specific reason, they chose to appoint him as the interim coach. If he can't improve the team's tournament position, he should at least find the right approach and create a good locker room atmosphere. In addition, Solari has a certain authority, which means he won't have major problems adapting to the role of the main coach of Madrid. After Solari works out the season, he will be returned to his former place, and the role of the team's mentor will be taken over by Xabi Alonso. That's the plan, at least. It's time to say that Manchester City is in a serious crisis. They lost to unstable Tottenham on their own field, and this defeat became the 5th in a row for them. Do you know when was the last time Manchester City had such a terrible statistic? Even before the arrival of the Sheikhs in 2006. Since then, the citizens have never shown such sad results. But now, when the team won the title of England champions last season, when it is led by one of the best coaches in history, when so much money has been invested in it, breaking all the laws, it managed to disappoint its fans so much. And it can't be said that the results are illegal. In none of the last 5 matches was Manchester City better than its opponent. In the game with the Spikes, the guests adeptly exploited the chaos midfield. There was a feeling that without Rodri, the entire structure of the City game was falling apart. But one player can't have such a strong influence on the team's results. However, the statistics indicate otherwise. While Rodri was in the team, Manchester City only lost once, just think about it, in the last 50 matches. This happened in the English Cup final against their neighbors. But as soon as the Spaniard got that nasty injury in the match against Arsenal, Manchester City's game went downhill. The team seemed to have lost its bearings. The players now look disjointed. Yes, and the number of individual mistakes has geometrically increased. When I watched the match with Tottenham, I was particularly upset by the decisions of individual players. Such a game appeared to be not only subpar for Manchester City, but also below the Premier League average. It was a disgraceful match in every sense. The citizens showed neither decent play nor character nor even the desire to fight back. Yes, there were a few scoring moments, which Erling Haaland once again spoiled. But the team didn't look like it could make a comeback. And in the end, Tottenham delivered a controlled shot to the head, making Haaland shed a manly tear. The defeat from Spurs increased the gap between Manchester City and Liverpool to 5 points. Moreover, the Sky Blues have a game in hand, and this is already a serious claim to win the tournament. Chelsea's top striker is in conflict with the head coach. He is seriously considering leaving the team due to lack of playing time. Only in the lineup of the London club can you see a situation where the main striker spends time on the bench, while less effective players are on the field. Enzo Maresco firmly does not see Christopher Nkunku as a starting lineup player. The forward often appears in second-tier tournament matches where he has already scored 10 goals. However, in the Premier League, his playing time is limited to an average of 17 minutes per match, which clearly does not satisfy the footballer. According to the portal, Nkunku wants to get more playing time on the field. However, the coach continues to consider him only as a substitute for Nicholas Jackson and Cole Palmer. If the situation remains unchanged by season's end, the ex-Leipzig player plans to request a transfer. He already has several potential options. According to the latest data, Manchester United is the main contender for Nkunku. The Red Devils are ready to offer €60 million for him, a sum that will likely satisfy Chelsea's financial demands. Ex-scout Mick Brown thinks Nkunku is an ideal fit for Rabona Amarima's playing style. If Amarima looks at Amarima's team in Sporting, then his attackers are all fast, play on the edge of offside, and constantly put pressure on the opponent's defenders. Nkunku, I think, fits perfectly into such a style. He is more than ready and capable of performing at such a level every week, the scout said. And it's hard to disagree with him. There is a feeling that Nkunku will immediately become a key player in the starting lineup at Manchester United. In the attacking line of the Red Devils, there is no one who would have such versatility and physical power. Such a footballer would fit perfectly into Amarima's system, regardless of possible tactical nuances. After all, such a strong and versatile player will always be useful in a team. At the same time, the situation with Nkunku at Chelsea looks absurd. Young players are often advised against transferring to Stamford Bridge because of such cases. Financially, this could be a beneficial decision, but there's a high chance of ending up on the bench as a reserve and only getting game practice in insignificant matches. Controversy has arisen in the Spanish La Liga over a referee's decision to disallow a goal scored by Robert Lewandowski in the latest round of matches, because the system calculated that the player was offside. But there was no offside position on the broadcast camera. The computer likely mistook the Real Sociedad player's leg for Lewandowski's. The referees chose not to dispute the machine's decision. The next scandalous episode also happened in the Barcelona match. However, this time the referee erred in favor of the Catalans. It should be noted that Silt began the meal energetically. She skillfully used a high defensive line and caught the Barcelona players on counterattacks time and time again. Only by a miracle did Sinigranatov manage not to miss during the starting storm. But Barcelona itself could offer nothing to the Galicians in response. But this season, Flick's team is impressing with its performance. She doesn't need much to stand out in the crowd. She converted her only attack of the entire first half into a goal. Rafinha outplayed Barcelona trainee Oscar Mingueza in a one-on-one confrontation. And at the end of the half, an incident occurred that almost drove Iago Aspas to hysteria. Captain Golovic even refused to continue the match after the unfair decision of the referee. Gerard Martin harshly fouled Aspas and could have received a second yellow card, but the referee spared him, after which the outraged Siltov started shouting at the reserve and Martin himself and refused to go on the field. After the break, Aspas was charged to retaliate against Barcelona, but the Catalans again took advantage of their rare moment and doubled the lead. It seemed like it was already the end. Despite two misses, Celta couldn't regain composure, but a Barcelona player significantly contributed to escalating the drama. Young Marc Casado received 2 yellow cards in quick succession and was sent off the field. Barcelona already had a strong midfield. Left without a support, it sank, letting 2 balls pass in 2 minutes. But these are fair goals. Despite dominating possession, Barcelona still found a way to score goals. And yet, despite all its efforts, Celta couldn't make a precise hit until the 80th minute. Honestly, Barcelona was very fortunate not to lose based on the match's progression. Well, you can find a review of this dramatic match on our Telegram channel. The link is in the description and pinned comment. And don't forget to subscribe to my Instagram. I've finally started leading him. I talk about my travels and life in the United States. I recently returned from Los Angeles. If anyone is interested in this topic, please join in. The link is there, or the Telegram is in the description and in the pinned comment. That's all for today. Thanks for watching and for subscribing to the channel. My name is Dose of Football, and this was your daily dose of football. Peace to your house and its threshold, friends.